It's doing this is Neil from growpotcheaply.com. So I had to make this video because the guy is all about truth. He says, hey, let's be truthful and all that kind of stuff. I'm digging all that, man. The guy seems like a cool dude. Comes out this video and he mentions my light, but doesn't mention anything about it in context to this video, right? The video is trying to show that, hey, if you put more watts into technology that is a mixed spectrum, that you're not going to get the high intensity output that his lights get. Well, wrong, because I beat him in spectrum. I'm going to prove that in this video. So in this video, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show one, that something happened here because he's measuring his 400 plus, right? And while he's measuring his 400 plus, in another video, he gets 370. I'm going to show that to you, his own video. And in this video, he's suddenly getting 840. But is it actually 840 par? Is it the same kind of reading? Is it PPF or PPFD? Well, it's PPF and it says on his meter. But if you look at his PPFR, you're going to see that it's 340. And that's like his old video where it's 370, right? So different instrument, all of a sudden he's using a different instrument and then bloats his numbers up to 840. But even still, guess what? I still beat him. I get 1,050 at 3 feet away from the center. Now, also what I like to see him do is show how many watts it draws. In this video, he plugs it in, but you never actually get to see the watts. I'll show that. I'll prove that he actually says, yes, this is the 400 plus that he's measuring. And in the other video, I'll show you that it is the 400 plus he's measuring. And there's a discrepancy of how much par he's getting. One with the Sun Systems, the one that I use, he's getting only 370. With his new instrument, with the PPF reading, he's suddenly getting 840. Just real quickly, if you guys want to look this up, there's a difference between PPF and PPFD. PPFD is the more respectable number because it's measuring how many photons are landing in the very area that you're measuring. Whereas PPF is just saying, hey, this is how many are coming out of the light per second. A good analogy is someone said, hey, let's say someone said it's raining 5 billion raindrops per second, right? 5 billion raindrops per second. That's how much is being emitted from the cloud. Well, if we don't know the size of the cloud, then we really don't know how many raindrops are hitting with the surface area, right? So let's say the cloud's the size of Texas. Well, it might just be sprinkling outside, right? So 5 billion raindrops a second sounds like a lot, but if it's hitting all of Texas, it's not a lot at all. But if I told you, hey, it's raining 5 billion raindrops a second at the size of a car, then we know, wow, that's a lot of freaking rain that's hitting that one area. And that's the difference. PPFD is like the car, right? It's telling you exactly where it's hitting at and how many are hitting it. Whereas the PPF is general. Hey, this is how many are coming out per second, but we don't know how much are hitting an actual area. When I take my Passport, it's this new technology, handheld technology, great, fantastic technology. It's the strongest handheld spectrometer in the world. It runs by PPFD. When I take the PPFD with that, I actually get like 1,200 and something. So even more than 1,000. So it actually goes up instead of down, which I found interesting. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get on the video. I'm going to go ahead and prove and demonstrate these things really quickly here. Let's go ahead and listen to the beginning of the video for a second.
Light's brighter, but when you're using older technology, you can throw all the watts you want. You're not going to get the light output of a full spectrum unit. I'm thinking off the top of my head of there's a Black Diamond guy who just came out with his quote. I think it's called The Perfect Sun. That's the best readings ever. We'll get into that in a second. Black Dog made like an 800 and 1,000 watt LED.
So now notice he mentions me, says we'll get to that in a second. He never actually gets to it. He never addresses my light. My light, first off, doesn't use anywhere near the 800 watts that he's trying to demonstrate in this video. Mine only uses 520 watts. Now, in another video, he says that his 400 plus, meaning it uses more than 400 watts. That's why he calls it 400 plus. It actually uses 450 is what he says. But when he plugs it in this video, we don't get to see the reading. And that's unfortunate because I really want to see exactly how much draw his light has. Is it 450 like he mentions in another video, or is it lower, is it higher? I don't really care, I just want to see it. Now, let's just take his word for it. From another video, he says it's 450 watts. That's fine. Mine's 520. That's less than a 100 watt difference. Now, what happens between our lights, right? He's claiming that if you use anything other than his spectrum, that is all white LEDs. Because, by the way, if you don't know this, his light is an LED street lamp. I can actually show it to you. I know exactly how much they cost. The manufacturer actually came to me and offered for me to get them with the Meanwhile drivers and the Cree components, all that kind of stuff. They're great street lamps. They light up a lot of area and they have nice, good color. They could be used for growing. no problem. I mean, people used to grow street lamps. That's what metal halides are. That's what HPSs are. That's where we got them from, was from street lamps, right? So when growing indoors first started, way back long ago, before even I was born, they were using old school street lamps, right? The HPS bulbs. Well, of course, HPS bulbs have developed over time, and they made them better for growing. But anyway, same thing happened with LEDs. So in this video, he uses a light that is 7 years old, and he actually says it in this video. 7 years old. What? How is that relevant? Okay, so you have a light here that's from 7 years ago. Dude, that's outdated technology. Time have changed. LED technology has changed. We came out with a new technology, the high intensity LED lights. And by the way, all white LEDs are made from a mixture of either red and blue, or they're made from a blue or a red that have different chemicals like let's say phosphorus put onto it to make it a white LED. No doubt that the white LED will have a higher lux reading because it's changed to have that bias, right? To have the bias of lux reading. But it doesn't really matter because guess what? I beat you in lux and I beat you in par. Why didn't you address that? So if you look at my video, let's go ahead and go to my video here really quickly. Right, so in this video here of mine, the most powerful LED light, that's the title. You check it out. Notice my spectrum. From here, this is the 700 mark. From there all the way on is infrared. That's what the sun has. The sun has a lot of infrared. From here, right where you start seeing that spike of that purple, all the way over here, that's all UV. Notice that it's not just a flat line. It escalates up, 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 up. And the point, the highest peak right there at that 400 of that UV is high up there. And even here, like at 390, you can see it's still up here, right? So it's not just a flat line and then a little blue spike. If you look at his spectrum, that's what you get. You get this right here. Let's see if we can see this here. You get this flat line, right? No UV there. You get this thin spike of blue, and then all of a sudden you have all this green, and then the huge spike of yellow, orange, and then down here where the red that matters, it's way down here. And then notice the deep reds, he has like none. It just like drops off, and then like hardly no infrared at all. That's what happens when you mix white LEDs, the cool white and the warm white together. I know because I did a lot of prototyping, and that's one of the things I tested was mixing just white and just, I should say, cool white LEDs and warm white LEDs together. That's the spectrum you get. You hardly get any UV and any infrared. So if he's trying to reproduce the sun, well, why not the UV and infrared? We know that these things play a role now. These nanometers play a role in plant life. The sun's been giving them for years, so why doesn't he give them? One thing he does is he really tries to create this yellow, and I don't think he really tries to. I think he just, grabbed one of these street lamps and thought, hey, this is cool. It's waterproof, and it's got a lot of power, and it's got a decent amount of coverage. Let's go ahead and take it and make it into a grow light. That's cool. But don't pretend like you're trying to recreate the sun by just using white LEDs, because it doesn't do that. You can see it doesn't have the infrared. And then he says that if you use what he calls a mixed spectrum, that you can't get the power. But look at my spectrum. Look at that spectrum. That's more like the sun, except I perfected it. I dropped the yellow and the green that the sun has. Notice how thick my band of blue is? All the blue's there. Look how thick that band of red is. All the red's there. Where when you look at his, it's thin. Go back to the actual spectrum here. Very, very thin band of blue, right? It doesn't have all the blue in there. Very, very thin band of red. All these deep reds just drop right off. It's as if they're not even there. The sun has those deep reds, that's 680 nanometers and so forth. We're not talking about infrared now. 680 is usable. It's one of the most important spectrums for plants, and his hardly has any of it in there. And that's because, he's just using white LEDs. Now, let's go to something else real quickly here that I want to show you and try to make this video short. Now, interesting, right here, right before this part of the video I'm about to play, he just said that this old light has moving parts, has fans, stuff that you don't want in your grow room. What, you don't want fans in your grow room? Are you kidding me? So why would it matter whether or not your light had fans in it that's blowing air out of the light, right, and sucking air in, when you have fans all throughout your grow room? You need fans, you need movement, you need oscillating fans. So we don't want fans in our grow room? Of course we want fans in our grow room. Right? So the fans are already pulling and moving air around in our grow room. What matters if the light's also doing it? Kind of a weird statement, but listen to this real quick.
As it settles, see, it's about 800 watts. It's pulling.
Right, so this old technology, this light is using 800 watts of electricity, and it's a very weak light. It only gets like 22,000 lux. He didn't measure the power, and it doesn't matter, but I'm sure it's low too, because they kind of go together.
How old is this?
This one is 7 years ago. Yeah, we were doing these things long.
7 years ago, he says. Okay, so he's trying to prove that by adding more watts to a light, that it doesn't get more powerful, right? That if you have a mixed spectrum, if you have some white LEDs, some red LEDs, some blue LEDs, so forth, that somehow you're not going to be able to get a powerful light. And he's using a 7-year-old technology to prove his point. What? Stay with the times. Use a mono light. Use my light. But I'm sure he'll probably try to fudge what he's getting off of my light. He'll try to, just like he's done with other lights, like with Kind. I want to get a Kind myself and test it. The Kind XL, whatever it is. I want to test it myself and see what it gets. I have a feeling that numbers were fudged, but nonetheless, I'm just kind of curious. Now, why use 7-year-old technology to try to prove your point? To go, look at, hey, this 7-year-old light doesn't compare to my light. Of course it doesn't. Technology has changed, man. We have high intensity LEDs now. Why don't you try comparing it with a high intensity LED light? Now, is mixed spectrum not full spectrum? Well, does that look like full spectrum to you? Now, half of my lights are a mixture, and it's not a 50-50 mixture. That is, I don't have 50% warm white LEDs and 50% white or cool LEDs. I'm not going to tell you the exact mixture, but it's not 50-50. I have more warm, but I'm not going to tell you the exact mixture of it. But 50% of my lights are the white LEDs. The other 50% is a mixture of different kinds of blue, different kinds of red, which is why I have such a thick band here, such a thick band here, and also UV and infrared, right? Now with that spectrum, what do I get? 64,000 lux at 3 feet away. Now in his new video, what does he get? As we watch through this video, he gets 58,000 lux. So I have more lux than he gets at 3 feet away. What is his par rating? Well, according to this new video, his par rating, well, at least his PPF, is supposedly 840. Where if you look at the top of the instrument, his PPFR is 340. But in an old video measuring the exact same light, which is this one here, I'm going to show you that, he measures the exact same light and he gets 370. So he uses a different instrument and suddenly he gets from 370 all the way to 840, almost 400 more par. Does that make any sense at all? His 120 lens in this exact same video only gets 300 at 3 feet away. So the 120 lens versus the 90 lens, it only jumps up 70 par. So even if you were to put on the 60 lens, would that suddenly make him go up from 370 to 840? Hell no, it wouldn't. So I want this discrepancy explained by somebody. What happened here? Now let's look at the discrepancy real quick.
So that throws a lot more side light than those.
Yeah, it
ones.
goes wider. Made for shorter plants. And then get up here to our 90. 1 foot.
I can't see. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
22 something.
Yeah.
2 feet.
Now remember, at 2 feet, I'm 1400 on the exact same. Now look, notice the instrument he's using here, the sun system. That's the exact same one I'm using. That's why I got that one, right? And he's getting 790, 780, somewhere around there. I get 1400 at 2 feet away. Let's keep going.
Okay.
I can't see it, so you tell me. And 3 feet. 370, 360.
Yeah. I mean, this was the closest.
Okay, so he's getting 370, right? At 3 feet away. How do you go from 370 to 840? How did that happen? Now watch, just to see that he is talking about the, there's the 300 from 3 feet away. That's the 120 lens. Just to see he's talking about the 400 pluses, watch.
Yeah. I guess the way the other dials laid out, the throws differently. But
Ready? Well, listen.
now this is our 120. 400 plus 120.
Okay, 400 plus. So we know, and he even has it right here. He tells you in the title, he's using the 400 plus. So the 400 plus 120 gets 300 par at 3 feet away, and the 90 degree lens gets 370. But when we look at his new video, suddenly that number's different. Right, now just listen to these parts real quick here.
It works. So here's a light that uses basically half the power of that one, all right? And yeah, exactly.
Boom. You see that? We never see. Now, doesn't that look just like the 90 degree lens? Now, here in a second, you're going to hear the guy ask, is this the 400 plus? He says, yes, this is the 400 plus. So we know this is the exact same light that we just saw in his other video, where he only gets 300, and that's the 120 watt lens, or not watt, excuse me, 120 degree lens. When he measures the 90 right here, or that's still the 120. You just saw, anyway, you saw it right here. So when he measures the 90 and he calls
Yeah, but that throws a lot more side light
Watch
than
this.
those
Yeah, it
ones.
goes wire. It's made for shorter plants. You know. Then go up here to our 90.
Okay, let's go up here to our 90, and then you just keep watching. That's at 2:37 minutes into the video. And I just showed you it was 370, right? And then all of a sudden now, he's using the now listen, same light.
The blind.
That's the 400 plus?
Yeah, this is the 400 plus right here. Now let's just go. What's it? You get 3 feet there?
Okay, now you heard that, right? The 400 plus. So we know we're measuring the 400 plus, and we can see that the lux remains the same. Watch.
1 foot was 22,000. At 3 feet, you got 58,000.
Wow.
Okay, so his lux is 58,000. How is it that his lux stays the same, right? It's the same light. It's the 400 plus. So the lux is the same, 57,000, but suddenly his par jumps way up. How does that happen? How does his par go way up, especially using all white LEDs? So now his par is supposedly 840, which we'll see in a second. When before, the exact same light when he measured it with a different instrument, right, which measures, this one definitely measures par, right? Then he gets only 370. Is there something wrong with the instrument? Now, if that's true, because I'm using that exact same sun system, so if he was getting 370 with the sun system, and I'm getting 1,050 with the sun system, what will I get if I use the instrument we're about to see in a second? Use this new instrument to take the reading. Now notice here, the PPFR is at 340. His PPF is at 840. Now notice the PPFR is more similar to the sun system he was using, right, at 3 feet away, the 370. Now, how is it that the lux of his light can stay the same at 58,000, right? That's all, that lux is like the same, right, as he used to get, isn't it? But all of a sudden his par with the new instrument is higher, or is he just using a different kind of measurement that is PPF versus PPFD? So what I like to see you do is take your perfect sun system, the same one that I have with the sun systems, the same instrument I have, the green one that you used in your other video here, and this video here where you got 370, this video here, sorry, where you got that 370. So I use that exact same measurement in my video here, and I'm getting 1,050 from 3 feet away. And as I move out towards the edges, it starts dropping off. I want to see what does yours drop off to at the edges. But now just listen to this part really quickly here.
At 3 feet.
Yeah, 3 feet. The par is 843, I think it says.
Yeah.
Notice he ignores the other number altogether. It just goes right to the PPF. And like, look at this. Now I'm getting 840. So how is it that, numbers don't lie? This is his saying. Numbers don't lie. So what numbers are lying? Are the numbers on your new instrument lying, or the numbers on your old instrument lying? How'd you go from 370 to 840 when it's exact same light? How did that happen? Is this instrument reading wrong, or is the other instrument reading wrong? Or are you just using this instrument incorrectly? Are you using the wrong measurement, the PPF, rather than a true measurement of PPFD, or even your PPFR there, which is only 340? What numbers are lying, folks? So that's what I want to see. So what I would like to do with you, if you wouldn't mind doing this with me, this is to you, Spectrum King guy. What I would like to do is actually, let's take our lights, let's hang them, let's put a grid on the floor, and let's measure from 3 feet away at the center, and then move out toward the edge. And you need to move both vertically and horizontally, like I will. You do it to the 2 feet vertically from the center, and then 2 feet. So you start from the center, right? Move out toward the edge 2 feet away. That means that you're 4 feet away, right? Because if you did it from both sides in the center, it'd be 4 feet. And then go vertically 2 feet as well, away from it. And let's see how your drop-off is when you get toward the edge of your light. I know what my drop-off is already. When I go from 3 feet away, when I get the 4 feet by 3 feet coverage, I'm only going to drop down to about 300 par. And when I get way out there, there's a little bit further than that, I'm going to get down to like 250 or so, right? But still, I have a great coverage at 4 feet by 3 feet. I want to see what your coverage actually is. Another thing I like to see you do, because in this video, it doesn't show us. You plug it in and then it just goes bright and we don't get to see how many watts your light actually draws. I want to see the draw of your light. So you plugged it in, but we didn't get to see the number. So I'd like to see the number, the actual draw of power it's drawing. I know another video said it draws 450 watts. So I'm not going to say that's wrong. I just want to see it for myself. Mine draws 420. I show it in the video. So if you're curious about all that, just watch this video here. I show you how much watts mine draws, how much watts the Gavita Pro draws. I show you the lux reading, the par reading. I show you also the spectrum reading for both lights. This is the spectrum for my Perfect Sun 1000. Notice that's full spectrum. It has everything, has all that blue, all that red, has the yellow, has the green, has the UV, which yours lacks, has infrared, which yours lacks. Okay. Now, let's take the new readings just for a second here. Let's suppose these new readings are accurate. Okay, that's cool, fine. Let's say this instrument's more accurate. Well, can you imagine what mine is going to read on that instrument? If he had 370 with the exact same instrument that I get 1,000 on, imagine what I'm going to get if he gets 840 on this thing. What mine will get with that thing, right? Or are numbers being fudged somewhere? Is something lying here? Anyway, doesn't really matter. Let's take the 840, right? And I also find it kind of odd he uses a different instrument after my video comes out. Right when my video comes out, like, oh my God, a guy actually uses more than just white LEDs and blows my light away, and only using 520 watts. That's less than 100 watts more than what his supposedly uses, 450, right? So I'm using less than, if mine had 550, it'd be 100 watts, right? But it's not even using 100 watts more, right? So it's still really low on the wattage that it uses, 520 watts. And boom, I blow away his lux reading at 3 feet away. He gets, and again, just watch this video right here. He gets 58, I get 64 from 3 feet away. That's the lux. He gets 840. Let's just use his new number. Let's just say, hey, cool, that's accurate, whatever. 840, I get 1,050, right? That's 300 more than yours. So my par is better than yours, and my lux is better than yours, and my spectrum is better than yours. It's better all the way around. Now let's look at coverage. So get out your sun system machine again, and let's see your coverage. How much does it drop off? So anyway, folks, thanks for watching. I really thought about whether or not I should make this video. I debated it. Do I want to be a Kim Kardashian drama queen? And I'm trying not to be. I just want people to be honest. Be honest with everything. Don't mention my light in your video and expect it to not have repercussions. If you're going to mention my light in your video, mention it accurately, because you put it up there with black dog and stuff. First off, my light doesn't use 800 watt electricity, it uses 520, and it beats yours. It kills yours. It smashes it to pieces. Even with your new reading instrument, it still smashes yours, right? Let's be honest here. Don't just be like, well, I mean, yeah, blah blah blah. No, there's no blah blah blah. There's no mirror tricks here. I beat yours flat out. You want me to go ahead and buy that instrument? Tell me the exact name of that instrument. I'm pretty sure it's the MK350, right? Tell me the exact name of that instrument, and how about I just measure with that too, and I'll see what I get with that instrument. Or I can take my instrument right now and measure the actual PPFD for you, which is over 1,200. You're not going to get the numbers I get. Why? Because you're so stuck in thinking that a street light is the best light in the world, and that's what you're selling. You're selling a waterproof street light with 3 watt diodes. 3 watt diodes, no matter what you do to them, are never going to compare to new high intensity 5 watt diodes. They're just not going to have the pushing power. They just don't. It's never going to compare, no matter what you do to it, right? If you try to get it to be as strong, you're going to have no spread at all. I have 4x3 spread, and I have more intensity than you. Want to know why? Because I'm using high intensity 5 watt diodes. That's why it's so powerful. That's why you're like, oh my gosh, how is this guy doing this? That's why you had to go use a different instrument to try to inflate your numbers. But again, look at his other video. What was his numbers again in his other video? Well, his other video ended with this. His exact same light, the 400 plus. When we get to 3 feet, what happens?
You tell me. And 3 feet.
370.
370, 360.
Yeah. I mean, this was the
Okay, so what happened? Use that instrument again. Let's see what numbers you get with that instrument. We both own this instrument. Let's use it, right? That way we know we're getting fair numbers, right? So 370 all the way up to 840. What happened? what numbers are lying? All right, so I know I probably shouldn't have made this video, but I had to because he mentioned my name, right? He had to go drop my fucking light name and then be wrong about everything that he's talking about. So there you go, folks, guys. Double peace. Sorry about the little bit of drama there, but I had to set things straight. I can't. I don't know. I love debating, and it's part of me. I debate all the time on Pal Talk. Can't help it. Debating's fun, and especially when you can win the debate. Then it's even funner. And especially when you're right. Especially when you have the better equipment. When you have the better numbers and can prove it. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Hopefully, it was somewhat entertaining to watch.